Before we start the episode, I just want to let you listeners know that we had some issues with our recording. There are parts where the audio cuts out, or where a couple people, myself included, dip in and out as our internet connections dropped. We apologize for this and hope it doesn't happen again, but instead of scrapping an entire episode, we decided to release it with an explanation instead. We hope you still enjoy it, and thanks for listening.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Well, I'm the best one in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
Welcome, everybody, to the next edition of the Are We Recording podcast. Are we recording, guys? Just to be clear, we are recording this.
We're recording.
Okay, good. I'm Brian, as usual, here with just the usual band of misfits. Ryan from Nebraska, still have internet. I'm gonna burn that joke until it is no longer of any use. How are we doing tonight?
I was just gonna say that just never gets old. I'm sure everyone else out there believes that too. That's just hilarious every time you say it.
I mean, it blows my mind every single time. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing great. Want to give a shout out to my main man Arthur Chu for absolutely dominating the Jeopardy game. He's gotten Jeopardy lovers irate.
What did he? Can you explain?
He uses some game theory to take away the double Jeopardies, and he goes all the way on through different sections of the game. He's just sabotaging it, but it's within the game, so he's just balling.
Wow. Okay.
Can't knock the hustle.
I want to drop Full House. I want to drop a Full House reference there, but I don't think anyone will get it. So
no, go ahead. I would love to hear it.
No, I just want to know if that's Davy Chu's brother.
Yeah, no, I don't get that one.
No one's gonna get that.
Okay.
It was one character. He was the Human Dictionary, and Stephanie went against him in the spelling bee. There's your Full House drop for the week. All right.
Wow, that was the most obscure thing I've ever.
It was.
Heard
I
in my
told you,
life.
no one was gonna get it. No one was gonna get it.
Josh, how's the West Coast treating you?
You mean Chris?
Chris? Yep. It's been a long day, guys. It's been a long day.
It's treating me fine, I guess.
Oh, God.
I wish my car was treating me better, but that's about it.
Well, that'll happen when you live up in Oregon. I heard that's bad. The air's up there is bad for cars.
Apparently.
The air's up there. Good God.
The air's up there.
I'm on it. I guess.
I'm on it.
Yeah,
So let's go right into what we recorded for this week. I'll go first. That Clippers Thunder game on Sunday. I don't know how many of you guys caught it, but it was by far the most entertaining regular season NBA game I've seen in a long time. In terms of, I mean, it was up and down, and if high scoring, superstars doing superstar things, and honestly, if we can get. If the basketball gods are listening, and they usually listen to me. They don't always do what I want them to do, but they usually listen. If they can give us 7 games of that in the second round this year, I think we'd all benefit big time from it.
I might not appreciate it being a Thunder fan, having to sit through 7 games of that, but it was a good game on Sunday. I don't know how many, like he said, I don't know how many you saw it, but there was that one shot by Jamal Crawford where he got it higher than the camera.
That was crazy.
On the basket. He was getting it was just nuts. And, yeah, not a lot of defense in that game, but it was fun to see.
Defense isn't necessary in West Coast games. I've learned that over the years. So, Ryan, what did you record this week?
What I got is these little rumors coming up late last week is Jim Harbaugh possibly being traded to Cleveland, and just a little bit of dissent maybe from San Francisco and Harbaugh, and how long he's going to be sticking around with the 49ers, which is kind of crazy to me because he's had 2 deep playoff runs in his 2 years there. He wants to get paid, which you can't fault the guy, but San Francisco is like, well, we're not going to pay you top tier until you win a Super Bowl, which, San Francisco a couple years ago was in the doldrums of the NFC West, and fans were booing Alex Smith. And in the past 2 years, they've been on the doorstep to the Super Bowl, to winning it and being in it, and they're apparently spoiled already. So that's what I have recorded for this week.
Ungrateful people up there, up in your region, OG. Ungrateful people in the Northwest.
San Francisco really isn't the Northwest, but it definitely does seem like a West Coast thing to be not totally grateful for what you have. Look at the Oregon Ducks and not wanting to go to the Rose Bowl again is a prime example of that.
Ridiculous. What do you got? What do you got for us today?
I have something that actually literally was recorded, and apparently viewers on Fox yesterday during a rain delay thought that they were watching the live Daytona 500. They tweeted about last year's 500 as if it was happening live currently, with some hilarious results, including Fox News. It was aired on Fox's network. Fox News tweeted about Jimmy Johnson winning the 2013 Daytona 500 yesterday. And I think that probably was the highlight of my weekend.
That was. Can you really how does that happen? Somebody's got to be on that. If you're gonna tweet about it, you should probably
I don't know if I don't know if it was a thing where Fox didn't have previously recorded in the corner or something, or maybe it was. Did they?
Daytona 500, and it was running on the bottom of the screen, and it said the current race is in a rain delay. You're watching the 2013 Daytona 500, and no one paid attention to it. I think Deadspin compiled a bunch of tweets from these people who were tweeting about the race as if it were happening live. And the best one is from a guy who's like, "This race reminds me a lot of last year's race." Well, no, duh, it was last year's race.
Oh God, that's embarrassing.
I recorded the best team in the nation beating Ole Miss and Marshall Henderson Saturday.
Thank God.
They are now number 1.
Nebraska didn't play Ole Miss.
No. Yeah, that's what I recorded, and then we got the. They don't call it the All Everything School for no reason. The men's swimming and diving won the SEC, and then 13 out of the 14 current UF teams in season are ranked in the top 25. So
that is pretty impressive.
Complete homer plug. It's the All Everything School. I mean,
What happened to the forking program?
I don't know. I don't even know what sport that is either.
God, yeah, they're probably just the losers on campus these days.
Do they get their funding cut too? Would be the other question.
I think it may be women's basketball.
Oh, yeah. They're not a no.
You know all about that, Fog, right? Women's basketball?
No, I don't really.
God.
You are the resident women's basketball expert on the panel.
Fired. Shots fired.
All right, so Sunday we had a big game in college basketball, probably shaping up to be one of the best rivalries year in and year out between Syracuse and Duke. If you check the website, arewerecordingblog.wordpress.com, I did a live journal of it. I was just kind of commenting as the game went on. It was a pretty entertaining game. It wasn't as good as the last one, I'd say, just because it was a little low scoring. Obviously comparative to the last one. But what did you guys think of the game overall? Did it live up to the hype? Ryan, what do you think?
It was a nail biter right down to the very end. It doesn't necessarily. College basketball is an animal to where, as a sport to me, to where it doesn't have to be a high scoring game for it to be very interesting to me. As long as both teams are competitive and it's not a foul fest, then it's usually a good game for me. So I enjoyed the game. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more offensive not explosiveness, but just creativity from both teams. It seemed like there just wasn't much churning on offense. So I don't know. Just their sets just seems really lackadaisical. So I don't know if it's getting to the time we're holding back for tournament time, or they're just, the game wasn't as important because Syracuse has lost twice now, and Duke is kind of where they're at. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but for the most part, pretty good game. A little bit of a shattered ending, I guess, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
OG, what are your thoughts?
I think part of the low-scoring game is probably that it seems like both Syracuse and Duke are fairly defensive-oriented. Not necessarily always with Duke, but Syracuse is definitely known for their defense, and they can frustrate just about anybody trying to do anything offensively if they don't know how to attack the zone, or even if they do, if you're just not hitting shots, you're not going to have a fun time playing Syracuse. And also, it seems like Syracuse's offense just kind of feeds into their defense, where they're just out there to try to frustrate you, both ends of the court. I didn't see all of the game, so I don't exactly know why it wasn't as high scoring as it was, but it just seems like Syracuse can kind of have games go that way, where they're more defensive oriented and then focusing most of their energy on defense and not really being creative offensively.
Well, you know what it was is, and I mentioned this in the write-up I did. The thing with the 2-3 zone is, and it's way easier to say than it is to do, but the best way to attack it is to get it to the top of the key, to the middle, and go from there. And it's easier to do if you have like a playmaking big guy who can pass the ball, like and obviously he's in the NBA, but Joakim Noah would be like the ultimate like 2-3 zone stopper because of his passing ability, and he can create off the bounce a little bit. And it just frustrates me so much to watch teams just pass it around the perimeter thinking that they're going to get some sort of open three just by passing around the perimeter and not attacking the middle. It's like such an easy concept, and really and Coach K was like, he's like the only coach that like consistently does that. I don't understand. Maybe that has to do with personnel, but go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say. Was Duke isn't a school that usually has a bunch of dominant big men come through. That's just not their style. So that's probably why you see that. And I was gonna say college basketball on the whole doesn't have a lot of dominant big men, or especially a lot of big men that have that ability to move the ball around and also still be dominant scorers inside. So I think that's probably the NBA fan in you coming out when you see that the 2-3 zone is befuddling, teams in college, because they simply just don't have the personnel to deal with it. I think that's why it's a good college defense. I know Nebraska has implemented it a lot here in the second half of their season, and when they were having some defensive woes, they put the 2-3 zone in because they want to clog the middle and make it so that these teams have to shoot threes to beat them. So I think in college it's a good defense, and just because there's no real personnel advantage that any school particularly has.
But I mean, even if you threw okay, if you're Kansas, even if you throw somebody like Wiggins like right in the middle, it doesn't even have to be necessarily a big man, just like an athletic wing guy. Just get him at the top of the key, get him the ball at the free throw line. And I know that's kind of an uncomfortable, awkward spot on the floor in basketball sense, but that's really that's how you attack a defense. Like it's like mind-boggling to me that coaches don't go there, and Coach K does. I mean, he did all game. That's what he was doing. He did put Jabari there, which I thought was weird. Maybe Parker didn't. Maybe they, during practice and film, he asked him or something. I'm obviously not in the locker room, but it just mind boggles me that coaches don't know how to attack the 2-3 zone. And another thing is, that happened in the NBA. The Mavericks Heat finals from 2011. That's how the Heat stopped, or that's how the Mavericks stopped the Heat. Like, that's how they stopped LeBron, is they threw that 2-3 zone at them, and they had absolutely no answer for it, because you can't really do like pick and rolls on that defense, because it doesn't really work that way, I guess you could say.
Yeah, as much fun or not fun as it is to watch college teams struggle with the zone, it's way more fun to watch NBA teams. It's like they're doing something that's totally random and never seen before when they jump into zone in the NBA, and it's just really entertaining to me to see that. Like, how can these guys that are paid millions of dollars not adjust to something like that?
It is, and and another question. I'm going to throw this around everybody. Is it just me, or is Tyler Ennis or Enos or however you pronounce it? Is he a little overrated? Is it just me?
He had a bad game that game, that's for sure. I think he went 2 for 13, and I mean he had a few steals. He had some other impact, but he didn't have his best game, that's for sure. I think he's one of the better freshmen. I think when Syracuse was undefeated, beating those late teams, and then I don't know, he gets a little more praise for the whole team maybe, but I think he's talented. I think he's up there as one of the best freshmen.
Yeah.
I have trouble calling these true freshman kids overrated because it's hard to put a lot of stock in how a kid coming right out of high school is going to adjust to the college game. So, I don't like calling them overrated just because they still have so much room to grow basketball-wise that in 3 or 4 years they could be totally different players, whether they're in college or they're in the NBA, and most likely they're in the NBA. But, yeah, I mean, so this year, I guess, no, he's not overrated because you've seen Wiggins struggle a little bit. You've seen Parker struggle a little bit. So, I mean, he had a bad game. That's what I would chalk it up to.
I don't know. I think it's more than just the one game on him. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, I was just looking through his stats recently, and he's definitely fallen off quite a bit from the beginning of the season, which some of that might be teams are adjusting him, and then he's just going to have to make adjustments on how they're defending him. And then tonight he actually had a really good game, so maybe he's already started to do that. But he's, like, before tonight, like, 4 of his last 6 games, he'd been in single-digit scoring, and one thing that he is really good at is definitely being consistent with assists, which for a freshman, that's not always something that you see in college basketball. So I think that aspect of his game definitely isn't overrated.
I also think, too, I mean, he pulls in the rebounds, too, as well. I think he does a lot of everything. He'll get some steals. But another thing to note with kind of Syracuse in general and Tyler is he's playing, I think he's playing 35 to 40 minutes most games. And Syracuse's depth, they're not too deep on the bench, and they kind of throw a lot of players out there. And, I mean, for a true freshman playing 35, 40 minutes day in, day out, I mean, I find it impressive to get in there and do his work.
But, I mean, at one point people were talking about him as, like, one of the best freshmen in the country, which I just don't
I wouldn't agree with that, yeah. That,
at all.
I wouldn't overrate
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. He might be one of the best freshman point guards in the country, but that's drastically different.
I just don't think, I don't know. I don't see his game translating to the next level. I don't think he's, I don't don't know. That just may be my opinion on him, just from the, and I haven't watched that much of Syracuse this year. But I don't know. I just don't see it with him. I don't see the it thing. Do you know what I mean with the it thing? You guys get what I'm talking about, right?
I don't know.
Do
He
you
definitely
think he stays in school another year?
He would be very wise to at least one more year, work on his style a little bit.
I think he should, but I don't know if he will. A lot of these kids don't care. They'd rather work on their game in the D League while getting paid.
I think that of all the freshmen, I think Jabari's the only one that's really like ready to go next level. Or maybe Aaron Gordon too. I don't know how much really better he can get in college. Well, that's the thing is I don't think I'm not sure if Aaron Gordon's gonna be that good, I guess necessarily. But he's not going to get any better staying in school than he would going to the pros. His game isn't. I mean, Wiggins should stay. I think Embiid should definitely stay.
Julius Randle, my man.
Randle could go. He could go right now.
I like him.
Because he's the type that once he gets to the pros and he isn't getting double teams every single game thrown at him, and he can get a little bit of work on a second unit in the NBA where he can kind of be the go-to guy on a second unit. I don't think he's ready to start right away, but he doesn't need to stay another year. Plus, those Kentucky guys, those Calipari guys they never stay a second year. Unless
you're
to.
Terrence Jones.
Well, I mean, look at him now, though. Terrence Jones has been playing real well.
Yeah.
Took him a minute. So let's talk about the end of that game a little bit. Jim Boeheim basically lost the game, I'd say, for his team. I mean, not that he lost it, but he put his own team's nail in his coffin and then didn't really own up to it at the end there either. That was the type of thing that I found was weird, is that he didn't really take blame for himself.
That's what I was going to say. I don't understand that. He freaked out, and then I was watching the game, and I was telling my parents, I was like, oh, he'll own up to it, he knows what he did. And then I see the press conference, and he's kind of joking around, which I know he can be a funny coach at times, but at that time, you're down 2 with 10 seconds left. I know the percentages were 5% to win at that time, but you still have a chance. You took the chance away, and then he goes after the game and jokes around, doesn't take any blame for that. I thought that was pretty unprofessional and pretty bad, in my opinion.
I don't mind seeing coaches go after the refs.
Well, I know me and Chris have talked about this a little bit on our. Well, do you think he should have gotten those quick double T like that?
Yes, easily. That wasn't even professional. You can't. You don't.
Yeah, he
No, that's easily it.
He crossed the line.
Yeah.
But I say give him one, and don't. I don't know. That was kind of a big
I think
jump.
It became a little personal the way he was pointing out that one ref saying, and this was BS, that's BS, over and over. I think that ref just said, I've had enough. Get out of here. You're not going to show me up. I think that was a big thing, too, for that ref.
All right, well, that leads us right to this, that call at the end. Now, me and Chris have talked about this off show a little bit for a few weeks now. We're in two different schools of thought on this. I think that refs should call it different at the end. In general, in sports in general, I say, especially basketball, I say let them play. That call at the offensive foul call, not a fan. I thought it was a little bit of BS. I say either no call. I don't even think it wasn't a defensive foul. Just I say no call it. Just the refs decided the end of that game. That's my opinion on it.
I think Boeheim decided that game at the end. But with the refs, though, I mean, I wish they would call the game consistently throughout, but I know the reality of it when the game comes down. I would like to see maybe a little more let them play, like you're saying. I don't have a problem with that call specifically. I think that was fine, I guess. But I think they should be consistent throughout, but I know the reality of it, and they start to maybe let them play, or sometimes they get a little uptight and call everything. So.
And before we get to Chris, Ryan, where are you at on that? On the whole letting them play or calling the Ryan may or may not be with us anymore. So, Chris, what do you – I know we disagree on this, so I'll let you get your piece in on this.
I'm pretty much where Josh is, where if they have called something a foul the entire game, you're not really doing a service to anybody just not calling the foul at the end of the game just because it's the end of the game. I think you kind of set a precedent with how you call it going throughout the game, and that way players know, if I'm going to commit or have this much contact against somebody, it's going to be a foul, or it's not going to be a foul, and not, it might be a foul, but it might not be just because of where we are in the game. I just think that it should be consistent. If you're going to call it loose throughout the game, definitely don't tighten it up at the end. But if you're going to call, you're probably going to get a foul called on that drive most of the time. And I didn't see all of the games, so I don't exactly know, but it seems like that's the type there was probably enough contact to call a foul either way. It might not. I don't really think it was an offensive foul. It might have been a defensive foul, but I don't think you're not going to call that just because, I don't want to decide the game. At some point, the players are deciding the game by committing the foul, and that's not call a foul to not decide the game.
Okay, but here's my thing on that: is if the refs, if you ask the refs to be consistent, here's the only problem with that: is players do play different at the end of the game. Things get a little more physical towards under the basket, and basketball especially. Let's focus on basketball in this. And players play different at the end of the game rather than the beginning. So if you can't really ask the refs to call it the same when the players are playing differently. And I know people can live in the fairy tale land thinking that players don't. But I mean, things get a little more physical just in general at the end of the game rather than.
I somewhat disagree with the playing different. I think the last few minutes, I've kind of always had beef with this. I think the last few minutes are always under way too much of a microscope. This is kind of my personal opinion. I think I hate refs, but I think that teams should start taking more responsibility for things they can control themselves, like missed free throws. Those are easy shots. Missed opportunities throughout the game. I think it gets looked under a microscope too much at the end of the last few minutes. I wish they call it consistently throughout, like OG.
But in basketball, most of the time, the game comes down to the last few minutes, unless it's a blowout either way. Like, here's an example: Game 7, Lakers Celtics finals from 2010 was that 2011? 2010 Lakers Celtics finals. If you're telling me that play at the rim was more physical or less physical or same physicality at the end of the game as it was opposed to the rest of the game, I think you need to rewatch it. Just one specific example. There's no way things change. The players get tighter, they get more physical, they want the rebound more, and I think it's just on the refs to let them be like that because you can't. Refs deciding a game is the worst thing in sports, and it happens way too often for me.
I agree. I also think they should let them play more throughout the game too. I know you need to set a tone early, but I would be more impressed if the refs let these people play throughout the game. I would love that, to see these ticky-tack calls not get fouled. Just play on. Stop looking for such small contact.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that too. I only think that it should be a foul in basketball if it actually has some effect on the play, the contact. If you're just touching somebody and they go on and make the shot and the contact was inconsequential, I don't think that necessarily should be a foul. I realize some people will definitely disagree with that, but that's the same thing at the end of the game. It's if the contact, if people are fighting for position
with that. And you seem to be on the different.
I'd rather them just call the same stuff, either in the second quarter or the fourth quarter. Not necessarily loosen up the calls in the fourth quarter, but maybe just loosen up the calls the entire game on some of the plays, and just only make it if somebody's doing something dangerous or it's having a big impact on the effect of whatever play is going on. And I don't think that should necessarily be different whether you're 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter or this game. And I think the other thing that you're probably touching on, Brian, is it seems like there's definitely an increase in intensity, and both in the NBA and in college, but it seems like it's a lot more in college than it is in the NBA.
And that's just from less. I'd say that's from less talented players too, as well. But I don't know. I think you can't. As a ref, I don't think you can call it the same. I literally just don't think you can. And I know you don't agree with me on that, but just in general, I'd like the refs to swallow their whistles a little bit more at the end. And they do. I feel like it happens enough to where it's not that big of a problem, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I guess my thing, and we can probably wrap this up pretty soon because I don't think we'll ever actually totally agree with each other, but The one thing that I really wouldn't ever want to see is like a ref totally miss a call and have that decide a game too, because you're still deciding the game at that point. If you have somebody just like totally get laid out or something and lose the ball out of bounds and they call it off that guy, that's still deciding the game if he doesn't get free throws on what should be a foul.
Okay, well, I think we agree to disagree on that, just in general. So let's wrap that up. Let's get to the who you got. It looks like we're having a bunch of technical difficulties on this. Ryan's gone. I think so.
The internet connection is gone.
Yeah, the internet. See, this. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. The Nebraska internet, man. I'm surprised it even works. So I guess the three of us for now can make the calls on these games. First game up, we got Baylor at Texas. Who do we got?
I'll start it off. I'll take the winners with Hook'em, Texas for Vince Young.
Texas. Chris?
We got Baylor, Texas is the first one. I will go with Texas.
Texas. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Texas on that one.
Ryan, can you hear us?
Yeah, Ryan, are you there? Are you there, Ryan?
Am I here? Are we recording?
No, I'm not here. Okay, Ryan's not there. Oh, Ryan is here. Hey! Ryan, all right. What do we got for your pick on that Baylor Texas game?
I'll take Hook'em on that one.
Uh-oh. All right, we got Texas across the board, looks like. Moving on, Butler at Villanova, my probably least favorite college team in the country right now, Villanova. Most overrated team in the country, I think. Watch out for them to get a big second-round knockout.
That would be awesome.
That's my big prediction for them.
Give me Villanova winning, despite your hate.
Chris?
I'm going to be boring and go with Villanova as well.
Wow, you guys are just...
You're going with the winner, OG. That's the way to do it. Who you got? I got the winners is what I got.
If you want to see some... also, let me update the standings real quick. I moved to 500, 8-8. Josh, you are leading the pack at 11-5. Ryan is bringing up the rear at 6-10. And then we got Chris, you are at 7-9. You are still under 500. Brad's at 9-7, and 2.0 is at 9-7 as well. Ryan, if you're still with us, would you like to pick the Butler Nova game?
I'm gonna be boring and pick Villanova as well.
You guys are the worst. It's up to me. Switch it up. I'm gonna go Butler with the upset because I don't think Villanova is good at all.
If it was in Hinkle, I'd take Butler, but it's in Philly, so
I don't think it matters. I think Villanova's awful.
Hinkle Magic, though. Hinkle Magic.
I'll give you some Hinkle Magic.
Not as effective as PBA Magic, but effective nonetheless.
I'll give you some Hinkle Magic. Iowa at Minnesota. I will take Minnesota on that one.
Ooh.
Big upset.
OG, what you got?
I'll go with Minnesota, too. I'm 1-1 picking Iowa games, and really that team just confuses me.
Well, you're about to be 1-2 because I got Iowa winning over Minnesota. Coming off their loss, they're going to be a little mad, so give me that.
I'm going to take the Hawkeyes in this one. More losses, the better for Minnesota. Get them off the bubble and get Nebraska in there.
You cannot go 5 minutes of your life without talking about Nebraska ball. You honestly just can't do it. What's the longest you think you've ever gone in your life without talking about Nebraska?
Oh, without Nebraska on the whole, I don't know. But I don't think you guys realize how much fun I'm having with this team right now. Oh man, it's incredible to be a part of this program right now because we're doing something that we haven't done in 15 years.
Wow.
I was not watching basketball the last time Nebraska went to the tournament or had a run like this. So this is
why?
fun.
Because they weren't playing Nebraska, or because you were too young?
I was too young.
So.
All right, moving on to the NBA. We're going to go a little bit of toilet bowl. Two of the worst teams. Switch it up. Let's see what we got on this one. Orlando at Philadelphia. Josh,
I'll just
start us off.
Go ahead, Josh.
It's going to be tough. Give me the 76ers winning this one. They're about to break their streak.
I'm going to go with the Magic. The 76ers gave up 130 points to the Bucks tonight. They are clearly on the tank grind, and it's not going to stop with Orlando. Oh yeah, it is all hands on tank in Philadelphia. That is a thing I said just now.
All hands on tank. You know what?
No sense.
Because that was a great quote. I'm gonna go with Orlando on that one too.
There you go. It's been that kind of show tonight, guys.
So we can either pick the Magic to get their 4th road win of the season, or the Sixers to break their 11-game losing streak.
Yes, that is the option you have in front of you.
Come with the winner.
I just flipped a coin and got heads, so I'll say heads is home and pick the Sixers.
Good call.
All right, back to two quality teams here. Houston at the Clippers, and this is kind of a big game because these two are both battling for that 3rd and 4th seed. So really what it comes down to is, I mean, both of them know that they need to win this just for, seeding purposes at the end of the year. So I'm going to go with the Clippers just based on Chris Paul's leadership, because I know that he also knows that.
Is he going to be playing?
Yes,
I think he got hurt on. Yeah.
Nah, he came back today as well.
Well, he hurt himself on Sunday, but I didn't know if it was serious or anything. But yeah, I'll go, since I went ahead and started talking. I'll go ahead and make my pick. I'm going to take the Clippers in this one also.
I'll take. Give me the Rockets continuing their winning streak. Give it to me.
Wow.
That's going to be a good game, though. That's gonna be really
good. I agree. I'm looking forward to it.
OG?
The Clippers have already beat Houston twice, and I think they'll probably do it again. I'll say the Clippers.
I see you looking at those stats, taking your time.
Yeah, boy.
Taking time to make time. All right. Well, this was our latest edition of the Are We Recording podcast. As usual, follow us on Twitter at Are We Recording, or no, what is it? I forgot our Twitter name. AWR Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at AWR Podcast. Check out our blog, Are We Recording? blog.wordpress.com. A lot of good stuff up there. This week I had an article. We just had a Jeter article by our newest correspondent, Dennis Broussard.
We've got 80 correspondents.
We're getting up there. It's getting good. We got a lot of content coming up on there.
Don't. If you have a favorite writer, don't, because we have like 1,000 of them. So
they're coming. They're coming strong.
Everyone's writing.
And you know what? Our Hollywood Boulevard section will be opening up. There will be a Oscar mailbag coming up towards the end of the week. So if you need to get your late Oscar pool picks in, check that out. arewerecordingblog.wordpress.com. As usual, this was Brian with the cast and crew of the finest in the business. And thanks for stopping by, guys. Go Cubs.
Nebraska ball.